Do you want to pass a speaking exam? Well, if you do, continue watching. Hi, my name is Jason Brooks and I will be your teacher for the next few minutes. Today I'm going to focus on the Cambridge speaking exam. I'm going to give you some key tips and things to focus on. So, subscribe to my channel for more videos. Hit the like button. So let's begin. Cambridge is an official international exam. One main area is the speaking section. It is one of the areas which students get very nervous about and fail because they forget to answer the questions. They say what just comes into their head. So, I'm here to help and give you some key tips on important processes. I'm going to break it down into 4 areas and give tips on each area and more. So as I said, there are 4 parts to the speaking paper, which takes about 14 minutes to complete in total. It tests your ability to communicate effectively in face-to-face situations. You will take the speaking test with 1 or 2 other candidates. 99% of the time, just with 1 other student. If you are at the end of the list, then there's a possibility that there's an odd number. You will go into the exam with 2 other students. But don't worry, you'll have the same time to show your ability. And this is important. So tip number 1. Tip number 1 is you need to show your skills and your knowledge in your grammar and vocabulary. You need to speak with as much great, fantastic vocabulary and grammar as you can, answering the questions, of course. The problem mostly is that students just answer with short, precise answers, and that is not enough. There are 2 examiners. One of the examiners asks you questions and gives you the booklets with things to talk about. The other examiner listens to what you say and is the main examiner, noting down your marks, your errors, and your positive expressions. Part 1 of the exam is the interview. And in this part, the examiner asks questions and you may have to give information about your interests, studies, careers, hobbies, day-to-day activities, etc. You need to give basic information about yourself and express your opinion about various topics. It will be a 2-minute conversation with you and the examiner. So my tip number 1 again, you shouldn't give short, unresponsive answers to the questions. Don't just give the shortest answer. At the bottom in the description, there's going to be a list of questions and a list of possible answers that you could give. For example, the examiner is going to ask you the first question normally, what is your name? Don't just say Jose or George. You have to also give the longer answer. My name is Jose, yes? Basic stuff, but people forget this in the exam. Tip number 2 is a continuation. You should avoid yes/no answers. For example, examiner, do you find English very hard? Candidate, yes. That's the wrong answer. What the candidate should say is, yes, the grammar is very difficult, but I enjoy the English a lot. The pronunciation is very difficult, but I love English. What have you just done there? Well, you've used present simple, adjectives, and connectors. And if you can improve that with different other grammar, fantastic. So that brings us on to part 2, the long term. Here the examiner gives you 2 photographs and asks you to talk about them. You have to speak for 1 minute without interruption, and the examiner then asks the other candidate to comment on your photograph for about 30 seconds. The other candidate receives a different set of photos and you have to listen to the comments. And when they have finished, you then need to answer a question about their photograph. Again, 30 seconds. So in that time, you should be looking at their photograph, you should be listening to what he's saying and getting ideas. In part 2, you have to talk on your own about something. You need to compare, describe, express opinions, and also speculate. All this in 1 minute. And then obviously another 30 seconds for the second question. Tip 3, ask for clarification if there's something you do not understand. 5 seconds lost at the start is better than speaking for 1.5 minutes, 1 minute, and totally being wrong. Tip 4, learn to navigate around the photograph. Be able to move from one area to another area to make sure you understand your comparative sentences and how to compare using comparative connectors. Tip number 5, you should learn to talk for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Make sure you talk and talk and talk until the examiner says thank you and he puts his hand up. Don't stop after 30 seconds. Tip number 6, and one of the most important, focus on the question as well as the 2 photographs. You are to compare the 2 photographs using the question. Always have the question in your mind. Focus as much on the question than just the 2 pictures. Make sure you use comparatives, yes? Not just this picture and then this picture, yes? This person is taller than the other person, yes? This person is taller than, okay? Make sure you use the comparative structures or comparative connectors. Part 3, well, that's your collaborative task. Part 3 and part 4 is your collaborative task with another student. Part 3 is a conversation with another candidate. The examiner gives you some material and a task to do. You have to talk with another candidate and make a decision about certain photographs that you have. Here you have to exchange ideas, express and justify your opinions, agree or disagree, reach a decision through negotiation. This is a 3-minute activity, yes? 2-minute activity to discuss the 6 photos normally, and then 1 minute extra to have and negotiate a decision. Part 4. Part 4 is a further discussion with you and the other candidate, guided by questions from the examiner about the topics and issues that were in part 3. Again, you need to express ideas, you need to give justifications, you need to agree and also disagree. So some tips for here. Tip 8, you should use the time when you're not talking to think about what the other person is saying and then be ready to respond to what he is saying. You need to listen to what the other candidate is saying as you may be asked to comment on it. But you need to also organize in your own head your thoughts of what you're going to say and the grammar that you're going to say it in. This is not the time to stare at the wall and think what you're going to have for dinner. Tip 9, you should try, if possible, to get some practice in speaking with the partner before the exam. This is not always possible, but a benefit if there is, yes? So go to the examiner, find out your position, see which is going to be your partner, and see if you can find that person. Tip 10, you should make some effort to make the collaborative task sound natural. Don't just learn a set of expressions to go straight into the exam, because it won't work. You should also include expressions of agreement, disagreement, explanation, questions. How to make it natural? That is down to practice. Practice is important. So any qualified English teacher that you can get 1 month or 2 months before the exam is fantastic. Don't just find the closest native, because sometimes they don't understand the exam. But any practice is great. Okay guys, I really hope that has helped. If you need any more tips or advice, then leave a message. Give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to check the description for more information. Subscribe if you haven't. More videos coming soon. If there are any questions, then give me a little message at the bottom and respond. Bye for now. Jason out.